Hi, hello everyone. Good evening, and a very warm welcome to all of you tuned into this special TUP session of Career Cafe. Right. So TUP is a competition we started almost 8 years back, and this is a competition which is there for B school guys to come and test their business acumen. As a firm, Reliance has always focused on being agile, being fast, and much ahead of time. And this is the same spirit which is reflected in others' competition. So, just what is there in this for you guys, right? So, we take business ideas from you, and then if you can make it to national finals, then you get the chance to have a shot at PPI directly and entry into Reliance Emerging Leaders Program, which we'll talk later in this session. But before directly jumping into TUP, I'm sure at the start of anything, there are lots of questions like what the structure is, what are the roles which are there in the organization in different career track. This in this case specific to finance. So this session is just for you guys. You can put as many questions as you want. To help you, I'm here, host for you, Nitin, and along with us we have our finance leader from Reliance, Mr. Kashyap Mody. So Kashyap Mody is CIO, Chief Investment Officer of Reliance Industries, Head of Investments. He has been in Reliance for more than a decade now. Previous to that, he was in City. So, without taking much of your time, I would like to ask Kashyap to just delve a little bit on his professional journey, how he started, what he does, what his team does, etc.
Hi guys, and a very good evening to everyone. And uh, I value this opportunity to talk to you all because you guys are the future of the nation, and the whole world keeps talking about India's demographic advantage, and that is all of you. So you are the ones responsible to take us or take India to the give us the next leg up in the world economies. So anyway, jokes apart, I have been, as Nitin said, I've been with RIL for 11 years now. Prior to that, I spent almost nine years with Citibank India. I'm a chartered accountant by education, and post that I was in Citibank in financial markets for almost 10 years, and then spent another 10 years here with Reliance, all again in financial markets. Have done kind of three different roles in Citibank in treasury, and now in RIL, which is, I mean, as we all know, the largest private sector, or by far the largest corporate in the country, and part of their treasury. Life has revolved around financial markets completely, fixed income, currencies, equities. That is all that we or I kind of breathe in day out. And so career experience so far has been like nothing short of fascinating. I mean, as we all know, right? Markets. So many things have happened in markets over the last 2 decades, and markets generally don't give you a dull moment. I mean, they don't let you even. They keep you on your toes all the time. Whether you're managing short portfolios or you're managing long-term portfolios, whether you're trading in a bank or in a corporate, or it doesn't matter. uh, there's always excitement, always new things happening, and always forcing you to be up the curve, especially the learning curve. So yeah, I mean, that is in a small nutshell from me. This is what I am, and I'm here to help you answer your questions, your queries, your doubts. So through Nitin, I mean, just feel free to ask anything, right? The whole session here is for you guys, and uh, feel free to ask whatever questions you want to, because I'm sure nobody is asking judging you on the questions that you ask. So just feel free to iron out whatever doubts and queries you have as far as RIL is concerned, or even RIL treasury and finance is concerned. Right, Nitin? I mean, yeah, anything.
Yes. Yes, I think that's the best part of being young, that one can
You
ask
got to
as
be
many
louder, Nitin. We can't
questions.
hear you.
Yes, just a second. Am I audible?
Louder. I mean, now you get into a closed room and probably. I mean, you're not as loud unless everyone else can hear you.
Hello.
You're not as audible, Nitin. You go ahead, ask your question, and then probably parallelly you can
Audible now?
find
Audible now?
another place to talk.
No. Okay. Okay. Was I audible
I
at the
think
start?
no. I don't know whether others in the back end can if they hear you. Can they? Okay, chalo. The is Abhinav is fine. So Nitin, go ahead. I mean, I now
Okay. So the as Kashyap mentioned that at this age, young age, it is easy to ask as many questions as possible, right? Because no one is judging anyone for any questions. So I'll just request Kashyap to delve a little bit on what does investments team do as a whole. What's the structure, what do we do, the products that we trade in, etc. That will give a little bit more insight to our B-school friends.
no. So we want to talk about investments as a vertical, or you want to talk about what treasury does?
Yes, so we can start with treasury in general, and then we can maybe zero it on investments.
Fair, right? So for everybody around, I mean, we are like a corporate treasury, right? So on for our business purposes, there are clearly a lot of requirements from that a treasury needs to meet. Right? We are a large exporter and importer. I mean, we import oil, we process it and sell petrol, diesel, gasoline, aviation turbine fuel. So we have a lot of massive currency exposure uh, on our balance sheet. Uh, we have a lot of liabilities on the books, foreign currency, rupee. So there is a reasonably large element of interest rate risk and currency risk on those liabilities. Then there is a huge cash pile that we have on the balance sheet, which is what me and my team, including Nitin, take care of by investing in India fixed income assets. Then, as a part of treasury, we have teams which take care of the funding requirements. There are teams which take care of which are part of the M&A team, the various M&As that we do. There is a team which takes care of cash flow requirement, the short term borrowings. There's a team which takes care of managing the foreign currency risk, the transactional risk, and the balance sheet risk. There is a team which takes care of managing interest rate risk on our foreign currency borrowings. And then there is an investments team which kind of takes care of the cash that is there in the balance sheet, investing in the right fixed income assets in India, depending on the credit risk appetite and the duration risk appetite of the firm. So this, in a kind of a nutshell, is what Treasury does. Obviously, there are other supporting functions which support Treasury. There is a team which is we call as a risk management team, which measures and monitors the various risks that we take on Treasury. There's a team which is an operations team which takes care of all the processing of all the transactions that are done in the Treasury. So yeah, I mean it's like a whole hog where everything pertaining to fixed income exposure, fixed income risk, interest rate risk, currency risk is kind of managed. Funding risk is kind of managed by Treasury. So there are different teams for each activity, but yeah, it all folds
Yes.
into Treasury.
Yes. So I'm sure the our friends who have joined would be very excited to know all the opportunities that lie ahead in this specific track of finance in Reliance. But before going there, just in the spirit of the ultimate pitch, so I would like to ask you, Kashyap, that in our day-to-day life in Reliance and in this team, how do you see this spirit of business slash entrepreneurship? How do we apply it in this role specifically and in Reliance in general?
So you see, in a way, the organization, though hierarchical, is very open to people assuming ownership, right? So it does not matter what age or what hierarchy you are at, what hierarchical level you are in organization. The organization will always encourage you and expect you to take ownership of your activity, your domain, whatever tasks are assigned to you, and ownership from an end-to-end standpoint, right? Not really, "Okay, I have to only process this transaction, so I'll just simply process and move on." That is one way of approaching it. But the other way of approaching it is, what I am doing, how does it end up impacting someone else on the floor, someone else in ahead of the chain, and someone behind the chain? Is it really making sense? Can it be done in a better way? Is there a more efficient way to handle it? Can I in a simplified way automate it? Is there a different idea to do it, right? So even in case of our treasury functions and roles, while there is a very defined risk framework within which we operate, there is nothing which is a no forever. Something which is a no today is depending on the current state and circumstances. But if that same idea is explored probably 3 months later or 6 months later, it could be a brilliant idea at that point in time. So the push or the encouragement to keep thinking about newer ways of doing the same thing, better ways, new ideas, throwing up new ideas, however big or small they are, is always encouraged and pushed. And there is an however busy people are, you get the audience for new thoughts and new ideas. So this is how in different functions we push for ownership, we encourage innovation, ideation. We don't really at least like somebody to be told exactly what to do and you do only that. No, you think around your domain, what you are doing and how it is impacting. And as we say, right, ideas are no one's monopoly. You can always throw up ideas impacting your domain, impacting your neighbor's domain, impacting the domain of someone else. As long as the idea has merit, as long as the idea makes sense, it will be looked at, it will be encouraged, and probably it'll be given the attention and the resources it deserves.
Yes, so I completely agree with you, Kashyap. In my last 4.5 years with Reliance, I've realized that despite being the biggest private sector organization in the country and biggest in the country by market cap, so assumption would be we are slow moving. But then in all our businesses, we have shown geo, retail, etc., that we are the one who just move fast. Agility clearly is one of our forte. So at this point of time, I would like to ask you if we can go a little bit back in time. If we can go a little bit back in time and
Okay,
about your past 1 decade in this organization, what is the fondest memory that you have?
okay. While a decade actually sounds feels pretty long, but let me tell you, it doesn't feel so when I've lived through it, right? Uh, there is probably, it's also because of the way we function, and my love for the domain that we work in. Uh, I still I'm charged up to come to office every day at the same time. in spite of doing it for the last 20 years, right? And look forward to what markets have in store for us. So clearly, there have been for a money manager or a financial markets guy or for a trader, right? I mean, a lot of memories are associated with what you deliver or bring on the table in terms of performance, P&L, trade ideas, right? So I'll give you two instances, right, where a good one and actually a not so good one, because it's a markets business, right? You can have great days, great weeks, great months, and great years, and it can be exactly 180-degree opposite the next day, week, month, and year. So we have had a periods where we have done extremely well on our portfolios, where we have been as true to label like RIL, extremely fast, extremely nimble and agile on ideating, uh, getting consensus and agreement around big ideas and executing them and putting them into effect, and then getting a market call right. So over a 10-year period now, uh, at least RIL was always a big name, right? And it only bigger now. We have actually become a kind of a force to reckon with in fixed income markets, because we have a lot of times got our views and positioning, market positioning, right, bang on or just in time, that market clearly looks forward to or tracks what we are doing. And so it's not that size, because of our sheer large size we are slower, right? It's just the way we function, a very flat structure where you can ideate things on a day, put it up together in another one day, and then get a consensus around it with senior people in another in everything can happen in the same 24 hours. And we have done those, got those large moves and large transactions, right, and delivering substantial capital gains to the organization, and very well acknowledged across the firm for this, for getting views right. Right, so I mean, yeah, I would not like to get into numbers here, but considering our sheer size, we have been substantially large in a lot of things that we have done. Similarly, uh, there have been also been times and instances where I can say we got our calls wrong, and organization has been extremely encouraging and supportive on those fronts, because everybody understands it's a markets business, right? Yeah, there's always a desire to get 10 on 10 right, but you don't really get it that way, and at times it's always a stretch struggle to get your mojo back. But yeah, I mean, even at these times, the organization has been extremely supportive, encouraging, and have given the team and the people the latitude to kind of come back and deliver on the ask. So also in a way, yeah, fast, nimble, sharp on stuff, ability to execute large sizes, and at the same time patient when the tide is not in your favor. Right? So yeah, I mean, Nitin, in a way, I've tried to communicate without getting into micro details.
Yes, Kashyap. So at this point of time, I hope that all of our friends are taking notes because these are words of wisdom. And then along with this, there are few questions which are coming. So one of the question which is coming from Rajesh. What are some of the key areas in which a management trainee is exposed to once he is selected from the campus in finance domain?
You want? I'm supposed to answer that?
Yes, I think I will take
No.
that.
So
Yeah.
I mean, all the domains that we spoke about, right? Whether you can be part of a team which is taking care of investments, part of a team which is taking care of foreign currency risk, part of a team taking care of interest liabilities, or a team which takes care of foreign currency borrowings or INR borrowings. So it's not restricted. Okay, no vertical or no team is restricted for anyone who comes in this program. It is at times we kind of encourage that the individual spends initial 12 months or 18 months in what we call as a risk management team. So the individual kind of understands a lot about the products, and then come to frontline roles, and so that they have a better understanding of how the back end works. Because we have always experienced that such individuals can understand and appreciate the whole chain much better, because it also gives them some time to adjust and understand corporate culture before jumping into a frontline role, which comes with its challenges of black and white performance and market related demands. On challenges. I won't use the word pressure here, but everything is open.
Yes, correct. So, guys, the question which is coming, we will come to that. We have a section dedicated to RELP in this session. So, I think another question which is coming directly for Kashyap is they want to ask on finance slash markets, what could be something which they can read, they can see in the form of either a book or movie or a TV series, which can help them, because most of these people are in second year, so they'll still be deciding on their specialization where they have to go. So if you can recommend something that will be useful for them.
See, I mean, all domains now have varied kind of books available, right? There is so much literature or so many books available on thinking about investment in equities as an asset class, right? Equities in a way is a very fascinating asset class where in our long term the learning curve is just too steep, and there are a lot of books written on equities and books written on superstar equity fund managers, right? I'm sure there are tons of books written on Berkshire and Warren Buffett, but there are a lot of good books written on Peter Lynch. There are books written by Mark Minervini, who is like a very successful trader. There are books written on looking at stocks, businesses, and companies. I mean, there are there are a whole host of books. I mean, I have read quite a few of them. I've read a lot of Saurabh Mukherjee's books just to understand how he thinks about investing. I have read the Peter Lynch books, One Upon Wall Street, and the other one. Those these books only help us understand how long-term investors think. Uh, right? Uh, there are the books written by Mark Minervini, or there are books written which are interviews on hedge fund managers, the wizards of Wall Street, and these books help you understand how traders think or hedge fund managers think. Right? So all these are very different domains when you actually go into specialize. But it is good for you to know and understand at least how you feel when you read those books, right? So I appreciate the situation that you guys really don't know how everything works till you are into it, right? For example, Nitin has been now with us on the desk for 2 years, and I'm sure he now understands that this is so different from what he would have thought about it 2 years ago, or read about it, or even when he was studying, right? So but yeah, it just helps you give a flavor of such books, of such domains, and yeah, I mean, you want to watch movies, please watch The Big Short, and I'm sure you guys have watched those things, right? There is the obviously Big Short, and there's another one wherein this guy bails out Lehman time, and the Lehman time, I forgot the movie. These are all there on Netflix's. You can series you want to watch. Which one? There is a series on Theranos that I recently watched, which is the startup, right? So I forgot. There are. I mean, there are several such movies you guys go through. You'll find, but none of them yeah, they just give you a flavor, right? Of like how every movie does. but the books are the key. You got to spend time with the books to know and understand how these different domains, what are the requirements of these different domains, right? And every individual is different, every individual's temperament is different, every individual's ability to run through these things are different. So unless you, when you read these books, unless you get a kick out of what you're reading, probably these domains are not meant for you, right?
Yes.
But it is
So
very simple and easier from the outside, but when you step into it, it's very different. Nitin, I don't know how I exactly answered that
yes.
question, but
Yes, Kashyap, you had. So I completely agree in this case. In this case, in the sense that the kind of gulf that we have in India's education system, and when you come to a corporate and you work, the difference is quite huge. And the best learning happens only on the job. Experience is the best teacher. But then, obviously, I think what Kashyap has mentioned, the books, the movies that will be helpful for our student who are there on this call. So one very popular question is coming. So recently, Geo Financial Services have been in the news. So the question is something on the lines: we have so many NBFCs in the market, so many fintech firm. How does Geo Financial Services aspire to be different than others?
so I think the simple answer is it's about the ecosystem that we have developed on Geo and on the retail businesses. Like we have more than 40 crore subscribers of Geo, and I think 20 crore odd retail customers, plus 15,000 retail outlets. So there is a huge ecosystem that is already in place, and I guess and our ability, Reliance's ability to uh, execute large projects or large businesses in the country is now proven, right? Whether it is the refining business, the petchem business, or Geo, or for retail for that matter. So we pride in knowing India very well. We pride in the fact that we can execute size and speed like no one else, and hence kind of there is no reason for us to even doubt that we can't get this right. Financial services is not an easy business, but not a complicated business as well. And we definitely we have a tech platform in place now. Uh, we'll try to be a digital first financial services kind of a company and see where it takes. Obviously, it's a long way. We are just starting, but yeah, I'm sure it's going to be an interesting business to build.
Yes, I agree. So I think another point which can be added is the kind of data that Reliance as a company sits on. So in terms of analytics, we can give a challenge to some of the best run fintech firms in the country. A huge data that we have. So another thing which I would want to ask you, Kashyap, is last 2 years have seen lots of disruption. Disruption has been in the way we work, the way we live, basically because of pandemic, and that has almost compelled us to be more flexible. We never. It was only in IT that people used to work from home, but obviously in our company, I think we were the company who were working from home for the longest time. We started earliest, just even before the pandemic hit. So, what are your views on that? How was it for you? How was it for other members in the team? And how, as a company, we executed this work from home thing for our employees?
Yeah, so I think I'm sure, right, as you experience, we were like, we immediately shifted to work from home, lock, stock, and barrel in I think the third week of March 20. And while there were a lot of apprehensions that how we would we manage things, right? But we kind of at an organization level did exceedingly well on that, and it just shows the adaptability of a human being. At the same time, even a corporate like of the size of RIL could shift and do this like in a jiffy, right? After those initial, very initial hiccups, we were all smooth and running. and we, as you said, right, we adapted new processes, new checklists, but eventually nothing suffered, right? We Reliance did one of the largest things as far as treasury businesses are concerned or financial markets are concerned in this COVID period, like raising huge amounts of capital from foreign investors, uh, managing the capital in the short term, and then obviously the debt raising that we did. So everything kind of we could execute. What has it only told us and taught us is that we are all flexible. We are all willing to go the extra mile when it is required. uh, Location or physical presence is no longer the necessity of physical presence is no longer a constraint to do or achieve anything. Technology has clearly leapfrogged us on that thought, and because of our concern over COVID and our employees, we actually have come back to work almost the last, right? Because we didn't want to risk the health of the members of our, as we call, the Reliance family and their families as well. We just didn't want it, and hence we were slow in coming back to work. But now that most of us have come back to work, we have kind of adapted to that as well. So what it only has told us is, as an organization and as an employee, we now have a lot more flexibility. Whether organizations eventually, there is still, right, we still don't know, the jury is still out in terms of not out in terms of what's the best model. So every organization will think for its own self in terms of work from home, work from office, hybrid culture, what makes most sense for each organization, each team, for that matter. But so while at least what I feel is, the technology and COVID and technology have now given us that flexibility, which has to be used to our advantage, our, I mean, employee as well as employer, not to be abused clearly, otherwise you lose that flexibility. And at the same time, find the fine balance between both. Right, in my mind, apart from, at least in Bombay and probably in other metros as well, apart from the travel time, which is kind of a challenge, working in office along with your colleagues physically, we will end up achieving more, and it'll be far better for the organization than otherwise. I mean, the only hurdle, hindrance, challenge for a lot of metros is the travel time. And so, yeah, that is the only reason why on a regular work from home kind of makes sense. But yeah, now we have the flexibility, right? So you use the flexibility to the extent it makes sense, is the way, at least how I think.
Yes, I agree with what you said that the learning curve is much steeper when you are at office and learning directly from your colleague. You have different experiences. You share the experiences that they had. Experience of 20 years for you, other people 15 years, right? So learning curve is much steeper for younger guys like me at office than working from home. So at this point of time, I would like to ask for the PPT to come up. So a little bit on RELP program. I would like to mention how does it function for our B school friends, right? So this program clearly is a 2 year program. In the first year, we have stint. We have two stint of 6 months each. We have two stint of 6 months each, and then in your choice of track, finance, HR, operations, general management, etc., you'll be allocate a team, and then you will have your project in that case. In the second year, after these two uh, stints are done, you'll be allocated a final team, and then HR will still hold your hand for one more year in this particular program, RELP, and then during this time, you will have another project in your final team also. The important thing about the important thing about this program is it's very, I have been through this program, hence I know it. The program is very structured, the learning is structured. At every point of time, HRs are with you. It's not like you are given a project charter and then there'll be no discussion. There'll be constant discussion from HR, from your line managers. Apart from that, we have very informative sessions. So these sessions basically help us to connect with the top management. There are sessions like Coffee Connect, and there in between we have big leaders coming to give you lessons on different domain. It can be something which is very hard and technical in nature. It can be something which relates to the softer aspect of the job, right? And then once you complete your 2 years, anyways, you're a part of a Reliance family. Once you complete your 2 year, obviously the assumption is that you have taken all the things that you want to learn, and then you are ready for the corporate world. This is how the program is structured. Now, obviously, uh, along with this, how do you get into this program? So you get into this program through your finals, but then that's a longer process. The easier one is to be in the finals of the ultimate pitch, what we have launched today. And then if you are in the national finals, apart from the cash prize, if you win it in first, second, and third, all the national finalists have PPS. So when you have that pre-placement interview, you'll be called for interview, and if you convert that directly, there is no need for CV, no need of final interview. Your MBA is almost done. If you crack the interview, you will have direct offer uh, for the role. So this is how this is structured. Um, so yeah, I have been a part of this program. Just a little bit journey from my side. So I have worked in two different teams in first year for 6 months, and then another 6 months, and then I got into investments team. So the learning that you get across, because you work with different leaders, and in a corporate like Reliance, as huge and diverse, you get to work on a lot of things. Holistically, it helps you develop a lot of soft skills. It helps you develop understanding of the business as a whole, and not only from say investment side. At this point of time, I know the boring side of the things because I worked in one of the treasury which was mostly on working capital, right? So you appreciate more the things that you are doing and how all the nuts and bolts fit into the system and the wheel works, right? So yeah, that was from my side on RELP, and obviously you will get more details once you are in this program. So at this point of time, I think we have some time left, so we will take help of Kashyap's wisdom. Just ask him just before. So Kashyap, just before we sign off, it was pleasure hosting you. And before we close this, any last message to all the aspirants for this competition, TUP, and Reliance, the role, etc.
So, what I would like to leave you guys with is a very important thought that over the next 2, 3 years, right, 4 years, try to identify what would you love to do for the next 20 years. The earlier you get that domain call right, the earlier you can move to that domain and kickstart your career. As of now, you guys know a lot of it, which is theoretical, and once you enter the real world, the reality is and can be very different. But at least if you can get your domain right in terms of knowing about it theoretically, talking to people who are in that domain to understand what it really means to be a money manager on a daily basis, or an equity guy or a fixed income guy, or for that matter even a marketing guy or a sales guy, whichever way, right? But if you get that thing right, then clearly you find yourself in that relevant domain in whichever industry or organization you're working in, and it just helps you kickstart your career. It probably just saves 3, 4 years of your career. And otherwise, the first 4, 5 years are just trying to figure out what you want to do, and then you kind of find that place, but that's already 5 years have gone by. That is one. The second is in most organizations, where you come from is just an entry ticket. I mean, whereas in which educational institution you come from is just an entry ticket. Once you are in, after that, what you do, I mean, how you do or what opportunities you get has nothing to do with your alma mater. It's after that completely you, your drive, your hunger, your learning ability and agility, your ability to work together as a team. There are these days nothing exists where you work as a sole contributor, right? Everything is working together in teams. Your soft skills, your ability to quickly know, understand, and process information. So all this, I kind of always look to emphasize on softer skills or skills which matter in the long run. Apart from obviously, all you guys have more than base level IQs, right? So you guys are good enough for everything. But once you identify what you love to do and then kind of work on these aspects in terms of hunger, drive, learning agility, initiatives, those are the soft skills which kind of will take you far in the long run. Yeah, yeah, and these benefits, as they keep saying, compound over time, and I'm sure it'll happen the same for all of you. So yeah, Nathan, I mean, I think these are the two key messages that I would like to leave with
Yes.
everyone. I mean,
Yes. So, guys, we are almost towards the end of our session. I would like to thank Kashyap to take out his time of his busy schedule to spend like almost 40 to 45 minutes with us. I'm sure that you guys have noted the important tips, important stories that Kashyap has shared with us today. So just before we sign off, I would like to mention that that what we are aiming for, what we are gunning for, and to come inside, the easiest way comparatively is to come through TUP. So if even now you have not registered, you can just go to our website reliancetup.in. You can make your teams, you can just pitch in, put in your business ideas, and if you like them, you'll be invited to our head corporate office in Navi Mumbai. You pitch it in front of the panel, and then obviously you take the prize. So you know what you have to do. Just I hope we were useful some level. Thanks to our HR team for hosting this so that we can connect with our friends across B School campuses. Um so just register, send in ideas, and wish you all the best for your career. Just be safe, healthy, and yes, wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.
thank you.